Yes.
Cool. Okay. So this question is again, how do you facilitate the daily scrum without three questions? Again, it's a perception which people have that in daily scrum we have to do these three questions, and yeah, that's it. So now, even now, Scrum 2020 latest guide, they just remove that thing. So what is your take on that, Joshua?
Ha, this is easier. All right. Okay. So let's start. Um, yes, like you said, in Scrum Guide to 2020, it's no longer prescribed that you have to answer the three questions. I think the first thing that is really key, the major difference is the daily Scrum. Here on the Scrum Guide, the daily Scrum focuses on progress towards the sprint goal. I think this part is really important. You're talking about the sprint goal, but I also want to go a bit deeper because for several Scrum teams I have worked with, their sprint goal is about output. Um, it's about list of tasks that they need to complete, and I think this goes back to how their sprint planning is run. So for several Scrum teams, their sprint planning is about, okay, which product backlog items that we need to do, which tasks that we need to complete. So that becomes their sprint goal. So our sprint goal is to complete all of these product backlog items. Now, the problem is if that becomes the sprint goal, the daily scrum also becomes ineffective because the daily scrum now becomes a status report. So I have done that Jira tickets number 15. I have done that Jira tickets number 21 because their sprint goal is about the list of uh, product backlog items or sets of tasks they need to do throughout the sprint. Now, I would like to go back first before answering your question. I would like to go back first to the sprint planning and fix the sprint planning first. Unless the sprint goal is outcome oriented, uh, then the daily scrum also becomes ineffective. It becomes mundane because people are just talking about, which product backlog item have you completed, because that's their goal, right? And that is the sprint goal is important because in Scrum Guide it says that this is what you should be talking about during the daily Scrum. Now, when we're talking about outcome, it's about what effect do you want to bring to the user or to the customer after they use the increment. That's outcome, right? It's not a set of features that you need to deliver. It's a change of behavior from the user after they use the increment that you deliver at the end of the sprint. And that's a big difference because you can deliver lots of features, but then the user does not want to use it. In that case, there's no outcome because they don't feel the list of features you deliver can solve their problems or can help them be more productive at their work, right? So start talking about outcome during the sprint planning. What impact, what change of behavior do you want to uh, affect the user after they use the increment? Focus on that. Then we can talk about the daily scrum, right? So now, without the three questions, if your sprint goal is about outcome, it can be just a free flow. It can be just a free flow conversation. And this is what I often tell teams that I work with. And not everybody needs to talk in round robin. just talk like a normal people, like a normal teams. Start with the sprint goal. Are we getting closer to that outcome that we want to achieve by the end of the sprint? And then someone might chip in. Um, I don't think so. I need the test environment. I can't test before the test environment is ready. And then somebody might chip in. All right, let's spin up an AWS instance so that we can have a temporary testing environment, for example. Great. Can we sit together after the daily scrum to create that test environment on AWS and then create the test cases together? And then another person might chip in. Um, I haven't done the user interface to be able to deliver the outcome that we have discussed during sprint planning. Okay, let's sit together, right? Let's prototype together. Maybe it's not going to be a high fidelity prototype. Maybe we can just scribble or doodle. At least we have the same understanding. Great. Now, why don't we also agree on the API contract, for example, right? So they that's an example that they don't need to answer the three questions, right? Start with that single question during the daily scrum. Open it up with that question. How are we getting closer to the outcome that we have discussed during the sprint planning? Are we getting there? Do we have any obstacles, right? And just have a normal conversations, right? I personally prefer doing it that way. I do acknowledge some teams, for example, they incorporate Kanban uh, into um, into Scrum, and if they incorporate Kanban, they usually scan their Kanban board from if I'm not, from right to left, and then they start talking about what kind of work do we need to do, uh, such that we can get an item to the complete column or the done column, and then they scan through their Kanban board to the left. Um, that's another option. That's a second option. But along the way, I, 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 I'm starting not to really be invested with it because I personally think in product development, the way teams work are not so linear as visualized on the Kanban board. I do acknowledge that your Kanban board does not have to be like a fixed swim lanes like that. That's another conversation. But I personally prefer having like a free flow conversation that starts with the sprint goal rather than just mechanically scanning your Kanban board, even though that's another option.
Great, Joshua. Okay, so if I have to just summarize, I mean, again, first of all, we should understand that daily Scrum is for team, not for Scrum Master or product owner. So let them decide uh, how they want to collaborate, basically, right? And of course,
Yes.
the focus should be on goals, right? So instead of talking about specific tasks, we as a Scrum Master should encourage our team to discuss the progress towards the sprint goal and the priorities. I think this can provide a more holistic view of the team progress. And one of the things which I do is that lean copy format. So in this, team member suggest, they vote on topics they want to discuss. So this allow teams to prioritize the issues and which is most important for them to discuss, right? So this is like one of the approach which normally we do. There are a lot of other things which we can also do, but yeah, that's for some other discussion. So yeah, thank you, Joshua.
Another thing also,
Yeah,
I think that's really important, especially if the team have been working together for so long.
yeah,
I often tell teams it's okay if not everyone is talking in the daily scrum because it's a whole team conversation, right? because maybe one person's opinion has been already covered by another person, right? And sometimes if it's a conversation like that, a free flow conversation, um, that is centered around the sprint goal, sometimes it can be faster than 15 minutes. It's really compact, it's really snappy. And the point is, during daily scrum, it is to get everyone on the same page, right? That's the main purpose, right? To sync up information across the whole team.
True, true. Okay, yeah.